对季后赛的期许的话，就希望能打得越来越好，然后走得更远吧。然后现在的问题的话，就可能对版本的理解不是很透彻吧，然后在英雄方面的理解可能也有点问题吧。
I mean, was that true? You tell me, because the Hecarim got bullied out in the early part of the game, but still impactful ults there from Zatai, and it feels like RNG did understand the meta and understood that game. Welcome back. My name's Jake Sozipenko, joined by Mr. Clement Chu to my left, and all right, whichever way you put it. And in this 9.6 crazy meta, I've just got to say one thing before we get past game number 2. Ming was robbed. Man, Ming was robbed of MVP. Throw up Uzi, because that's what's going to please the crowd, right? Well, tell you what, I'm a realist. Uzi played well and did a lot of damage, don't get me wrong. But Ming is an absolute trooper.
Yeah, look, if it was any other support, I don't think RNG actually pulled their weight out of this game. Like, Uzi got a lot of resources, and he did contribute a lot. 46% is nothing to scoff at, but the true one that turned the tides of those fights was Ming at the start, and at the last fight there. And in true support fashion, he gives it all the resources over to his ADC.
Because Ming pulls out the first binding that locks down Yagao in that big fight around Baron. Ming pulls out the second binding that stops Zoom from coming in with the flank against RNG. He finds the third and final binding that was most highlighted. He found so many more against Yagao in the bottom lane.
But we do have to go back to the start and really examine how RNG is winning out on these vertical jungle trades. Olaf is Karsa's highest win rate champion. Actually only lost to the 2 games this entire split on the pick. And what they do most commonly with it is they run in and do the level 1 red invade from the red side. This is also why we see Ming being the first one to bring back the Enchanter supports into the meta. He was the first one to bring Karma back in as well, just for that specific purpose. They want to shove in your lanes early, take the Olaf in, rob you of your red side buffs, and then just focus down all the attention there. I think a very key thing for all of these fights was the position that they had in terms of the wave. They did not hard shove the wave at all when they had the vertical jungle, not going for the early turret plating, but actually keeping it forward so that LvMao and Imp have to walk back into this death trap. And we're going to see this strategy go over again and again for RNG. They still plays Raise the Puppy, and this is what they're best known for.
Yeah, it was the second play that really came back, because the first one was a trade-off of AD carry. The second one was Uzi coming down, and by then you're saying, well, Uzi's in such a good position, how can we make it better? Sorry, 4 key bindings for Ming that game, and that was the first one.
And this is a really key thing, is that when they do push in all of their minion waves, they kill the AD carry first. So you're not going to get that triple wave there. They get so many extra resources and item leads onto Uzi, and then they just have this turret pushing lead wherever they go. Once they clean up all the kills there, they just instantly went towards the top side and pushed that turret down as well. So it doesn't actually matter how much your top side loses out, as long as his tower is still standing, that's fine. They just become this wrecking ball across the map, and I think this is the key strategy that I want to see if JD Gaming can actually crack. I think they played the top lane, they played this the mid lane very, very well, but can they actually crack this vertical jungling strategy coming out from RNG? We've seen it so many times, and I think JD Gaming do know that that's their forte as well. We've seen the Galio being constantly banned out. There was a game that we saw that was really good between RNG and IG, where they won that crucial game. It was because that the Galio did clear out a ward at level 1 and was able to roam after the first wave being level 2. So once you get that experience, you actually don't need the second wave to hit level 2, and he instantly goes into the enemy red jungle. They do a delayed invade at 150 and then just take over the map that way. So RNG, they've always been hyper-focused around the bot lane, and they found success in doing these invade and vertical jungles. They're probably the best team to do it. Does JD Gaming have an answer?
Yeah, well, for Xiaohu, that game, at least we didn't have an answer with the mid lane, that Yagao can get ahead, that Zoom can get ahead, as you mentioned before. The individual lanes there for JDG seem to be forcing against Uzi as we expected. And in this third game, now that we're 1 apiece, we've got a couple of must bans, I think, from RNG's side. We look at the cannon and we go, right, that is just such a question mark factor, and it's just too big to be leaving open.
Yeah, the Kennen just doesn't have a lot of good counters in lane. We've seen some people throw out the Vladimir, but we've also seen the Kennens then go and Blade of the Ruin King, do an AD build, and win that lane anyway. So there's no real clear answer to how you deal with it, and I've been very surprised at how much that Zoom has been able to get away with. He's actually been blind picking most of these games.
Yeah,
so
really
he's just
has.
like, I'm just going to show my pick early, and you're not going to be able to answer that. So it's a bit of question here. My preferred RNG, the RNG that I think has been most successful in the past is when their solo lanes can actually stand up to their counterparts. They were known as a 1-3-1 team. A lot of teams don't believe it. They say, oh, they just play around the AD carry. That's not actually true. When RNG were at their best, their most dominant, think towards Rift Rivals. It was the Flex pick, it was the Aatrox, it was the Vladimir, it was winning all lanes across the board. However, we have not seen that RNG in a long time. Maybe they just don't have it in them. So that's kind of the big question for both sides. We talked about this being a bot and top divided matchup from the start, and it still looks that way.
I would say that at this point, maybe a little bit too early to tell. Only quarterfinal for RNG. Their journey's expected to go the full run, if not stopped by FPX. But here against JDG being tested early, this is going to be the biggest surprise to fans, that JDG are still making that run. And as RNG sit back down, I know JDG about to enter back up as well. RNG will be heading back on the blue side, so swapping over once again. 1-for-1 so far, and it's been the red side that's taken over.
Yeah, key counter picks actually happening on Ming's side, holding the Morgana later on to just check out the Alistar. So I think that's going to be their strategy going forward. I just hope that RNG do adjust their solo lane ban picks, at least play a little bit safer. We have seen JD Gaming actually clamp down hard onto Xiaohu. They know what matchup that they want to go up against. They know that Yagao always has had Xiaohu's number. So they're banning away the Galio, they're banning away the Lissandra, they're denying him safe ways through the laning phase.
Well, he's picked up the Zoe a couple of times before, in series before rather, and Zoe left open and available, but still not going to pick it up, and left to the whims of an RNG second phase ban. Yes, direct. I tell you what, this director is an absolute bully. That's so mean.
It's
hot.
Look, it's probably our fault. We might need better, like, waterproof headsets that don't slide off your face.
Waterproof headsets? I mean, they're not going to fall off. It's just hot.
They're leather. They're slippery, okay? You can see the guards right there.
The headsets go around the ear. They're not going to be slippery.
You know what? I'm going to try it. The next game I go home, I'm gonna put 2 tissue papers right around my headset, and maybe I'm gonna play like Uzi. That's the secret, boys.
I don't think that's the secret. I don't remember him at 2018 MSI having tissues around his headset, that's for sure. Good comparative stats here. This is Ming and Uzi side by side. Is the 15, is that initiation?
That is Control Ward's bot, and 100% kill participation last time around for Ming, so started everything.
And Uzi as well.
Yeah, exactly. For Uzi as well. Bot lane focused, always the name of the game. And we're seeing signs saying that, please do well, Green Goo team. That's actually a meme
reference
that
to
RNG.
Karsa Zach.
Yeah.
Assuming so. One of his best champions that we're yet to see here. Speaking of priority on champions, the Olaf coming through, as you mentioned just before the breakout. It is one of Karsa's best champions. Got a very high win rate with it. And here in the LPL, it was a must ban for the period of 9.4.
Definitely is, and has a good matchup against the Rek'Sai as well. The Rek'Sai can't really chomp down on the Nordic Berserker necessarily, so you can just run around the map with that. I think it's very important for Karsa because he needs to set up a lot of vision for his solo lanes that have been on the more defensive end this series.
Gearing up for the third game, RNG versus JDG. This is one that I think now it comes into, okay, who's playing better on the day? Because JDG in game 1, for sure. RNG, bring up the tempo, and then in game 3, it's like, okay, still questioning what's going to happen here, because the drafting definitely looking good for JDG, but now about the tempo advantage that RNG is starting to build up, back on this blue side after a win.
Ooh, this is interesting. And JD Gaming are actually just dealing with the vertical jungle strategy we're talking about by taking away both picks. So I guess that's an answer that you could definitely do that.
But you spoke about the Galio. It's the first pick here for RNG, setting up once again.
And we have to remember that Galio is a flex pick between Xiaohu and Ming. Both of them are very good on the champion, and it fits the style. They just want that lane shoved out. They don't want it to be a 1v1 game with Xiaohu versus Yagao.
Lock down the Syndra as well. You got yourself Imp's Karsa once more. Seeing the same picks coming through, but this will be a big one if RNG steal this away. Flawless 2 games in a row already. And Karsa's Lee Sin is so good.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the Lee Sin pick, though. Now, this is a champion. Okay, with Lissandra, I think it's a lot better. With Galio, you actually lack a bit of 2v2 combat. So I like the Lissandra mid and the initiation potential for Xiaohu as well. RNG are finally getting a much more stable front-to-back composition. They have the priority, the possibility for priority with the shove in Galio and with the shove in Lissandra as well. So I think this is a much more well-rounded composition. And it's interesting to note that the draft is actually being done by Kezman himself. Ever since Game 2, we saw Green Tea actually leave the stage, and now BP is being handed by the head coach, Kezman.
Yeah, JDG still got their same coach over, so whether that's worth noting. I haven't actually seen Green Tea at the start of the series. Just
No,
saw
we have
Kezman the
actually
whole time.
seen him
Yep.
just a little bit, but you know, the head coach says, I'm going to do this myself from now on.
Okay. Well, JDG start banning away though. Second phase, here we go, because for JDG still don't have their jungler just yet. Karsa has the opportunity to ban it away, but Zoom not going to pick up the cannon. Third game, RNG decide it's finally time.
Yeah, so I really like the Kalista pick. RNG are playing a tempo game right now. I believe that there's a very high possibility they go for something that actually has more early game tempo. So you could see things like the Ashe coming out, very strong laning phase, and just trying to outplay the enemy team. Ashe might, probably not Ashe. You do need a little bit more mobility against the likes of Kai'Sa and Alistar. But what you should expect is RNG go for an early to mid-game game plan where they can just close out the enemy team. So I like the bans away from JD Gaming, making sure the Kalista face call plus the AoE taunt combo is not there.
Surprise we see once again, they're not letting Zatai pick up Yorick. More of a pressure play than Zoom could go for in the top side of the map. But Flawless, a couple options left to Vayne. What skirmish is good against Lee Sin? Well, Flawless decides it's time for Syndra.
Yeah, Zhao is a very good answer right here. Solo, of course, he's going to take down the Lee Sin, no problem. For RNG, what are they actually going to take? I actually don't mind the Caitlyn. I feel like the Caitlyn's fine. You have so much map mobility across the board. Vayne is also considered a counter matchup to the Kai'Sa in LPL. Itself has a very good win rate against it. You can chase down the Kai'Sa and out-solo her, basically.
Okay,
Oh.
Uzi's Vayne. If you're an international viewer, you should know this. You should know what this is about. No, get lost. 3-2, gives a crap, you know? Like, bugger off. It doesn't matter. Uzi's Vayne is Uzi's Vayne, and that's never ever going to change. So you have yourself a Galio support. RNG setting up for success once again in this bottom lane. We'll see how successful it really is, because the summoners there for Zatai are still there. Hecarim number 2 for RNG.
This is the best draft that we've seen RNG pull out the entire series so far. They have the front line, they have the initiation, and for JD Gaming, they're more poised to try and take out the early game. Now the clock this time is ticking for JD Gaming. They have to make the early game plays, especially with this lockdown of the, I almost want to call him the Shy, because that's the champion you always associate with Jayce in the top side, Zhao and Syndra. These are not champions at scale. These are champions that are trying to beat you out in the tempo game.
Yep.
So very interesting decisions here by JD Gaming. They're going to fight fire with fire. You have tempo on the board, we have tempo on the board.
And it's not as cut and dry as it was in game number 2. For JDG, compositions change and turn around. You have yourself a Vayne, you have a Kai'Sa. We know how explosive they can be in the late game, but you look mid, you look top, and you say, all right, cool. It's going to be about that tempo advantage that you manage, and RNG are going to try and face them straight down the middle here in game number 3. Relying on that Hecarim again. In game 2, it didn't go too well, but that was just one engage from Zatai that brought things around and said, all right, cool, I'm happy with how this has gone.
I just love this teamfight composition from RNG. I think if JD Gaming can't close out super hard in the laning phase, if Flawless can't out-duel Karsa to beat him to his lanes, then the teamfight's just going to go one-sided. They have so much better initiation and so much better rundown. You think about it, Hero's entrance and the Hecarim ultimate with the Terrify coming out, Lissandra as well. There's not a lot of opportunities for JD Gaming to run away. If they ever get caught out, if it's a 5v5, I expect them to roll over and die. So
okay.
Flawless has to be the MVP this game.
Has to be. Game 1, game 2, setting himself up to do so. This time, Lee Sin's denied away. Karsa picks it up. And let's just compare for a second. Flawless's Lee Sin is magnificent. Karsa's Lee Sin is triumphant. And that's what JDG need to punish. The triumphant roar of LvMao must be heard all through Jingdong, because in Game 3, it is now up to that tempo advantage for both teams. Now, for RNG, they can take the footing and stop the chaos here in the LPL from ensuing further. It's quarterfinals, JDG have already come through, Sino Dragon have beaten EDG. Is this where it all stops? Is this where the advantage goes back to RNG, or will JDG continue their onslaught? Yes, it is the old manager returning. We confirmed 2 days ago. JDG, their manager, he's not back in the managerial position, but he's back in the crowd.
Lil Yellow, and he always has the loudest shouts we've heard in the arena. It always feels like home for JD Gaming, no matter which stadium they travel towards.
That is an airy on Yagao's Syndra, by the way. A lot of the time we do see the electrocute come through as common practice, but going for the airy in lane here will be an interesting turn. To be noted that Zoom has taken the same rune.
And this is a very gank-prone lane in the top side for Zoom. I do expect him to win out on the 1v1 trade, but Flawless post-6, he's going to have to keep such a good eye onto that top lane. They really need to smash this matchup so hard.
Going for Lancer Hecarim in the top lane. Very rare that you see that skin. Kind of annoys me that the auto attack is just... The spear's too thin, you know? Doesn't feel good when you sweep across a minion.
Yeah, I do like him thick.
Okay, alright, clever. I learned a lot about you when we cast together.
Flawless going in just for the scuttle.
Okay, yeah, sure. Changing topic will make it better. He started at the top side to be noted as well. So, Clement, do we expect to see that vertical jungling again? Because Floor setting himself up in the river. Scuttle's going to be taken. Looks like he'll be heading across mid, maybe to get for the double scuttle early.
Yeah, this is a pretty standard build, standard path for Xin Zhao's early on. They do just win the trade outright with Lee Sin. Lee Sin can land the Sonic Wave and still not win the trade. So if you have mid lane shove, double scuttle sounds like a great way to start.
Okay, goes for it. Gonna get it, not gonna be contested. Full clear so far at the bottom side, being done by Karsa as he picks up Raptors. He's not even looking towards the top side of the map. He's going for a potential gank or contest of what is no longer a live Scuttlecrab.
So we do have to note that Lee Sin does have a level advantage. He should actually win out on the trade if it does happen here. But he is sandwiched between multiple ward. Oh, the ward actually just fell off for JD Gaming. And I think RNG might have saw that.
Oh, he's not taking it. And Flawless is going in for the invade, trying to start something up. But Lee Sin's already backed away. The ward spots him down there. And Xiaohu has the information now available to play as he gets spotted past the mid lane, walks back towards the top side of the map where vision is heavy in JDG's favor.
You can see this early matchup. JD Gaming know that Lee Sin is around the area, so they do play rather safe, and we can see the solo trade. Why is Vayne favored here? It's mainly because 3-hit is a lot easier to proc than 5, and the damage trade with press the attack does go down.
Oh, he saw Karsa smite as well. It's going to be a small cooldown on it, but teleport going to be burnt from Zatai coming back to lane. Oh, who is that? That's actually Xiaohu to help support the blue buff.
Yeah, those two teleports burn almost at the same time. Zatai having a very bad time in lane. Just look at that CS difference.
It's happening again, though. Zoom won out lane in game number 2 on the cannon. He's winning out lane once again. Zatai obviously picking for more than this, as he's just going to be turned. What? Gets hammered back? I hate Jayce's and how their interaction just stops everything.
He just takes priority over everything you can imagine. I wonder if he actually got the devastating charge damage off.
We saw it last night. Or no, he didn't. He was still in the form, so he didn't actually get to take the charge. We saw it last night with the Jarvan flag and drag.
Yep.
And it's kind of annoying to see. A lot of people thought that shouldn't happen, but it can. So unlucky there in the slightest.
Does beat out on a lot of gap closers, that Jayce. Already 2 CS ahead. And that's another walk back for Zatai. He's just going home constantly. He doesn't have safety around this lane. He's going to need Karsa to drop some wards there for him. But Karsa has been doing a good job, not only pressuring the bottom side, but keeping himself ahead in the jungle camps.
Yep. I mean, he's just hard farming at the moment as well. Karsa not looking towards any lanes after the bottom lane has been pushed up aggressively. Uzi in a CS lead for the 3rd game in a row here against him. So in terms of lane statistics, Uzi still looking the best out of both AD carries, and Zoom looking the best out of both top laners, but it hasn't really facilitated anything into the game itself. apart from that last game where we saw the impact of what Uzi was doing on the Xayah.
Something needs to be done about this top side, though. The wave is actually pushing in for Zatai, and Zoom should be pretty happy to just sit there.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how Zatai is actually going to farm this one out. He's going to take a lot of damage here.
Yagao can walk up in the river as well. He has to push in the mid lane, so there's no safety whatsoever towards that Hecarim. So far behind. That's 25 CS at 5.5 minutes. It was this bad in the second game, mind you, but Zatai is just not having a good. He's just not having a good series whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's the life of playoff top laners from RNG. I almost wonder if it's harder or easier to play as a top laner for RNG. Like, because you don't actually need to CS that much. You don't have chances.
You can put the blame
CS.
somewhere, as we saw with Amazing Jay. I mean, he made Karsa cry.
That is true.
That is very true.
And they didn't start him after that. Which was just also true.
Are we too harsh in the
I'm just stating the
LPL?
facts.
We don't have an LEC voting scheme, but I'm glad we don't at that note as well. Zatai's going to be dove here, but look at where Karsa is. The mirroring of junglers we love to see here in the LPL is the dive is being committed to. Zatai underneath turret, charges back forward. Underneath turret,
there.
has to flash. They do find the kill, but the response here from Karsa, Sonic Wave doesn't connect. Karsa can't follow up. He'll hit the minion wave and probably get level 6 off this as well, but hey, a response there for RNG is better than nothing.
And what was that minion block from Flawless? That must have felt so bad. He actually got hit by the devastating charge, and there seemed to be something that really screwed up his path. He was caught there for multiple seconds. Does go down, but that's still a great win from JD Gaming. The reason being that they denied even more CS away from Zatai.
I will say, however, Zatai picked up the kill.
That is true.
Although he misses out on a bit of CS, the kill onto the Hecarim after the first blood from the jungle.
Let's just watch that again. Flawless actually going in, does get the initial damage, and finally finds the kill with the tip of the W and the red smite. But that minion creep block is quite frustrating for him.
It really is. At least the tie comes back to wave, misses the cannon. I'm sorry that I point that out, but something I do often in solo queue. It really annoys me. But 30 CS still the lead in this top lane, so a kill for 30 CS that's going to keep on growing. It's going to be about 40 CS as well, because Hecarim backs again. And now he's coming back to lane.
You really wish home guards was still in the game. You could really use it right now.
Yeah.
Take a look at the bot lane. This is going to be the first back for Uzi as well. He has a massive advantage in CS already, about 14 CS advantage. Turret plating already going down. The matchup panning out like we laid out. It's still going to be about top side for JD Gaming, bot side for RNG.
But this time, Imp is in a much better position. 13 CS is the lead for Uzi, so it's not as catastrophic as it was on the Xayah Morgana bottom lane. But Imp now coming back to lane is going to get pushed in once again. Bit of turret plating going over to Uzi. And you're saying at this point, the ways the tie's going into Zoom, you're happy that the Jayce does not have more turret plating than he has, because with that CS lead, with a 50 CS lead, just make it stop.
He's also 2 levels ahead.
He is.
I just want to point out, at this point, Zatai might not even have the damage to close out.
I want to look at the top lane, because I feel like that's half health with one shock blast combo, at least.
Yeah, with the extra lethality on that build as well. Like, I honestly, JD Gaming's solo laners are at a tipping point where if they find one good trade, Flawless should be able to swoop in and just clear out on it. So I feel like RNG actually are the ones that need to force a play right now to make sure that solo lanes don't go out of control.
Okay, Clement, you called it. Perfect timing. You're a god analyst, and now Yagao is going to show you why. Kick flash from Karsa. Sonic Wave just outplayed by the Lee Sin. He can't even see. But Yagao, neither can he.
Yeah, Flawless was trying to use the Crescent Guard to knock away Lee Sin from that play, but great find right there. And, you know, Yagao just pokes his head a little bit too far forward, thinks he has Flawless on the move, doesn't even use his flash, and that was a perfect crowd control combo.
And although you have yourself a winning matchup in the mid lane that was spiraling just like the top lane, now kill onto the Lee Sin. And my lord. Top lane's still my focus here, because 3 bits of turret plating there for the turret plating mid.
You know, we have the Flame Horizon when someone is 100 CS ahead of someone.
I mean, we're getting there.
Yeah, I want to see if we can hit a new Zoom Horizon where he's probably 150 CS by the end of this game. He's just dominating this lane at this point, and there's no real damage from Zatai.
There really isn't. Look at his build. Cloth armor, Ruby Crystal. And this is where you're saying in chat, you're saying, it's okay, boys. I'll scale. Like, I'll get there. Don't worry. All right. And everyone's like, yeah, rightio, Hecarim. That's when Uzi sits back and says, no, it's me. It's absolutely me to this game. That's what they've done to Zatai. Put him on an island that has death, destruction, cannibals, and all that good stuff. So Uzi is going to be on the back of him once again. He's starting to build up this CS lead in the bottom lane after picking up the Cutlass. So the harass, the sustain, all comes in a neat little package here where Imp gets the BF sword, is still heading towards that Storm Razors. You're still hoping that if you're a JDG fan, they can quell out this bottom lane and it doesn't roll out of control again.
Yep, the key play for me here is for JD Gaming to get priority for Yagao and allow him to converge on some of these solo lanes.
Oh, what's happening here?
There's no laner here, though. Uh-oh, but Zoom walking the wrong way.
He's a fast pony. Onslaught of Shadows is available. Use it onto Zoom. Gets Onslaught again. Charge. Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike. Zoom's dead. Don't need to give it to Zatai because Karsa's on a roll.
Yeah, so many fancy FLICKR right there. Flawless was coming in.
Out. Oh, he doesn't take it. Karsa. He would have heard the crowd as well. He's like, thank the Lord. Flaw's going to get tagged on here as well, but he's caught out anyway. Unleash Power. Takes the overextension. Xiaohu will survive thanks to the passive of the room, but as Flaws knows he doesn't take the glacial path, Xiaohu is getting low quarter health. Flaws chasing up, the flash is burnt away. Zatai just has to get out of there as well. The trade-off that shouldn't have happened on the Karsa.
Yep, the 1v1 solo, he could spot out Flawless, but he could not spot out where Yagao was. And that's a key thing I want to point it out. Syndra has a lot of troubles leaving lane. She's very slow as a champion. She can get Dragon Rage into a combination. So you really want Flawless to kind of help the shove out first, and then have Syndra link up. What they really want to do is take full control of these blue buffs, of the Groms and the Wolf camps. Just make sure that Zatai has nowhere to go to. And interesting move here. So JD Gaming actually doing the swap first, and they are rewarded with the Herald.
Yeah, that's right. The Herald's going to break open that top lane as well. Zatai is going to have a longer lane to face Zoom in. Even if he faces Yagao, either of those options are not looking good at the moment, as Yagao has a lead in lane as well. Rift Arrow going to be dropped here. Look at Zatai. Yes, cannon, but now run.
These horses were bred to run, so should be comfortable just walking away here.
I mean, this one needs to be genetically enhanced. Give him something. Give him the hay that has a bit of something in it, you know what I mean? So, Zatai even going to get another charge. That's a shock blast combo, not as much as I thought. I'm just going to have to deal with the Rift Arrow once Zoom just pushes him off the wave. Yes, that's right, Karsa. Give the pony a cloud. Hopefully that makes something better.
Surprisingly enough, we don't actually see the trade back from RNG. Their support is holding around the mid side, and they're not taking the tower.
When JDG are continuing to push up this top wave, Flawless are just sticking next to Zoom.
Man, I'm not sure this is the best use of Zatai. Like, Zatai can be a carry threat in his own right. He's actually won the lane super hard against the Shy, but they're putting him on blue-collar duty for sure. That's a term that the community calls Chinese top laners most of the time, is that they're there to do the hard lifting, not take any resources, sacrifice for society, that type of stuff. And it's kind of unfortunate to watch Zatai being thrown into that role. He was known as a Riven player back in Season 5, so...
He was known as many things back in Season 8. You know, in 2018, what did we see Zatai on? The Singed? So many dangerous picks. I mean, that's what I'm remembering for the most. That Zatai had so many versatile champions up in that top lane. It goes to show you again, if anyone's going to pick out the Hecarim, it was going to be Zatai. And for RNG top laner so far, not doing it justice here in the league, but not necessarily his fault, as RNG have been forced into this position. JDG continue to try and escalate that with Zoom. Now in the bottom lane, forcing the turret. Zatai not even going to stick up here because he doesn't know where Imp is. He doesn't know where LvMao is. And he can't overextend in the current position he's in.
Yeah, this was such a great call by JD Gaming. Look at the lane allocation. Uzi was soloing the turret down there. So Yagao, even though he's on a Syndra with low mobility, just walks into lane. He has a level advantage over Uzi. He can one-shot him at this point. So he just walks in, forces Uzi out of lane. A successful tempo rotation. And they force RNG to give up a free tower. That was really well played.
Yeah, Uzi being in this mid lane as well isn't going to favor him too much. Yagao has so much wave clear. This is exactly where the Syndra wants to be. And we're coming up to the 15-minute mark. Although turret plating was even, you saw what broke. JDG open up the top lane turret. They get bottom lane after turret plating in the fact that Uzi doesn't have enough of a gold lead to equate to what that top lane really is. Just look at it.
But we also have to mention that JD Gaming are the ones that have to have the faster tempo in this game. They're picking for skirmishes, and they're not picking for team fights whatsoever. So I think RNG, despite how bad it looked on the top side, has been able to hold on. I think they're in a very comfortable position.
That's very fair, Clement. I'll hold you to that in the next couple of minutes.
They're only down 800 gold.
Yeah. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I keep almost calling this a tie whirl.
Double teleport coming in.
It's going to be a quick one. JDG wins. The flank going to come through. Karsa finds the Sonic Wave resonating strike, but it's onto LvMao. Xiaohu's the tie. Clement, the horse, charging in, doesn't get stricken down. Zatai has Onslaught of Shadows, just charges the ward. And at the end, Xiaohu even has to back off as well.
And Yagao's the true hero right there. That's a lot of cooldown to burn for RNG and not a lot of gain. Could not find access. Was pushed back by Scatter of the Week, and they can't do that play again for another 6 minutes.
Zatai can still charge in, but it's going to be spotted out, sitting around the side where the control ward is on the brush. 2-man Scatter the Week onto Ming and Xiaohu. The Shock Blast even strikes him down.
And that's so good on LvMao's positioning. Look where he's hiding at right now. You do not have Unstoppable with Devastating Charge, so you can still be headbutted back if you're coming in from that angle. But I like what LvMao is doing right here. He's keeping Zatai at bay, and all their carries are going on the left side.
And then just getting poked down by someone like Zoom. Xiaohu at half health. Karsa's been caught out. Unleashed Power. He's now getting low as well. JDG forced out 2 members. Turret's going to go down. Zatai, if he goes in, he will die.
RNG don't have the HP bars to fight this right now. It might be too tough.
Oh my, Ming almost dies from him. The devastating charge is coming from JDG rather than RNG this game. Flawless. Gonna find him around the side. Audacious charge this time. Karsa burning down, but it's not enough. Ulti out by Flawless. Still good enough to get Karsa back.
That was another free objective coming in from JD Gaming. They beat the flank, and they hold their position. Jayce did so much damage right there. I don't think it was mainly Imp. It was just the Shock Blast from Zoom, taking Ming to below 300 HP. No answer from RNG yet.
The only answer is to leave Zatai in a side lane and get him to a point where he can indefinitely flank. Again, look at his build. What do you see, Clement?
Well, he's going to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet. We've been seeing this build quite... maybe not. He could still go for Iceborne Gauntlet and the Black Cleaver. I think he doesn't really need the Triforce
full tank
right
Hecarim.
Now. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's a lot better.
Go full tank Hecarim, just go Frozen Heart, Randuin's Omen, do 0 damage, but just charge at people. We will see, because there's a Phage in there, and Trinity Force has always been the go-to, but I like the train of thought as well. We've got a couple of components in there, that's why, wow. That's when you know that Zoom is just a big, big man. 2 items. He's huge.
Yeah, I just don't like it when people give up on laning phase like that. RNG's game strategy is, you know what, top lane's fine. We can win enough from the bot lane to make it back. I just think you give teams too much leeway in that situation. They are still, however, holding on very closely to the gold lead, and they're basically waiting for their tank, their front line to scale up in terms of armor and HP. Characters generally are a lot harder to kill the later the game goes on, just because the natural scaling actually outscales what you can get from the damage items. So RNG are sitting tight. They're waiting for their time, and it will come. But these couple of minutes are very difficult to go through if you're an RNG fan.
You're going to start by clearing out this mid wave, which is going to be pretty simple, but JDG keep knocking on the door of this inner turret. I will say, however, there's a Cloud coming up next. You're a Hecarim, you want speed, it's plain and simple, but JDG will deny that even further as the flank comes in from LvMao. They've found Xiaohu. He'll go invulnerable as Ming joins the fight as well. Gets a 2-man. Yeah, the kickback starts it off, and Flawless has to flash over the wall. Zatai charges in. Onslaught of Shadows. The turnaround from Zatai. Does he get popped down? No, he lives. And now for him, he has to flash away. JDG are getting turned on by Uzi. And RNG just picked these beautiful fights. The flash still available. Scattlewick doesn't do it. And RNG from front to back is just that simple.
And the tempo game ends right there. Xiaohu had a great Ring of Frost to keep LvMao in place. He was knocked forward, but it took so long to kill him that Karsa was able to find a great kick, knocking JD Gaming members to the right side of the map, and they didn't even kill the time.
Oh, it's not over yet though. Zoom is still a big boy.
Well, that was pretty funny overall. RNG, I think, with that single play does kill any momentum that JD Gaming's comp needed. It was such a good move right there. LvMao could have instantly got the catch, but he didn't want to burn his unbreakable will right then and there. It actually comes in a bit late. Galio able to find the double knockup into the double taunt. Ming once again carrying his team for putting his team on his back, and then Zatai somehow manages to live through the traffic jam. Uzi gets an easy chase down with the Night Hunter. Imp has nothing to do right there. And once again, Ming, this is his third taunt throughout the entire fight. And I think you do have to question, oh, that was such a relief for the RNG fans right there.
She was scared. I think a lot of fans were scared at the way this game was pacing for JDG. But the Vayne, 2 items, you got yourself Uzi again. You'd be happy for that, but most of all, look at the top lane and how that's stopping. 2, 1, and 3. Zatai on the Hecarim lives to fight another day. And look at his items. Let's go back, take a step back. I don't care.
Should have the Iceborne.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. There it is.
There you go, going for the Black Cleaver second as well. And if you look at Zoom's build, this is not a build that has very good scaling potential. We've seen Black Cleaver and Blade of the Rune King coming out from the Shy's Jayce, but he's not going for that. He's going for a pure poke type of comp. And RNG, they have a lot of opportunities to run them down.
Can they do it again, however? Because RNG getting stormed on once more. JDG, the wave clear, is too much to deny. There's just great things to be said here about RNG and their composition. Hard to siege against. JDG know that, but they're still trying again.
I honestly feel like JD Gaming, this is one of those team compositions, if that you fail once, you can't really make it back into the game. It's so difficult to actually do. They see Karsa on the left side. He should be able to find a flank here.
Oh, Xiaohu going in. No, not this time. Karsa finds the Sonic Wave resonating strike onto him. The kick. Does he find it? Well, it's into the wall. Zatai, the jungler gets deleted. Zatai's still alive there onto LvMao. Uzi hitting again. Flawless. Gets taken down as well. And Zatai's ready to charge on back. JDG, Clement, you called it. That's a 3-for-1.
Yeah, and I guess they did not see Lissandra. Sneaky Karsa right there, finding his way amongst the crowd. But can Xiaohu make it out alive?
I mean, Imp's walking forward. Zoom's still here as well. Imp run. This is an overstay. The charge into the wall. Pony says sit. And RNG give more blood over to Uzi as they head back to Baron.
JD Gaming had to check right there. They thought the Baron was already being started, but guess what? Xiaohu waiting around the corner for Imp. Nowhere to go, and I think RNG are in full control of this game.
Full control. Hecarim's back in the game. Uzi's got the blood, and Xiaohu continues to help Karsa start it off. Ming's just having a great series as well. To be said that Zoom can do a lot of punishing in this pit. Karsa's coming in, the Baron low, the smite comes through, the shock blast not accelerated, and LvMao to go into this fight would mean a death sentence. So he backs off, and RNG back off the back.
5k gold lead. RNG can play the map whichever way they want at this point. 4-0-3 on Uzi, and let's watch that fight again. He finds the resonating strike on Imp, forces him back immediately, and Yagao just left in no man's land. Gets killed, and RNG's comp, they just have so much chasing potential. The Iceborne Gauntlet coming out of the Night Hunter from Vayne. They run JD Gaming down into the dust.
The fans were fearing that this was RNG's last hurrah before it's even begun. It seems to be the first one here in game number 3. 5k gold lead just about. No, well, 4 is realistic. At the 24-minute mark, Cloud number 2 for Hecarim. I like it. He's got 2 items. He's down in CS, but he is back in the game, and he's catching up. Being an item behind after that early game start is testament to how RNG have actually just brought back this series.
I can't believe how close RNG was able to hold the gold lead throughout all of that. If you think about it, the top lane was down 70 plus CS. They dropped the Herald as well, and somehow the gold was within 1k the entire time. That's just really good job on their bot lane and forcing out Imp from the CS. And I don't think any other team could make this work. I don't think you look at...
Oh no, yeah, he's found Zatai, spots him out, headbutted away, they're just going to charge onto him. RNG can disengage as a team as LvMao tries to get back into focus. Karsa being the one knocked up, and he finds the Sonic Wave resonating strike, kicks back, he gets locked down himself, and Xiaohu comes in. Oh, look out, as the pony flies through! Zatai on a farm of his own! Uzi is the cleanup crew at this point, and sanitization committee from RNG. The dirt is removed, the dust is removed, The surge of JDG, it seems, is gone too.
And Karsa walks the team through the valley of death.
Can Zoom carry this game is the new question, it seems. He'll find a double on the back end of that trade. Karsa and Ming going down means it's dangerous here for Xiaohu and Uzi.
That was actually a big win for JD Gaming because they got 2 big Baron buffs and
Hang on,
oh.
Glacial Path, locked down with the Ring of Frost. It's been engaged on the ulti again. Uzi, I told you he was cleaning hard. His 5th double of the game.
And in a blink of an eye, it goes all the way for RNG once more. I thought they were going a little bit overzealous, and Zoom was coming down with the shutdowns, taking away the Baron buffs. If it was not to be, you see Chun-Li, Uzi smiling quite happily, shaking his head bangs.
I'll reiterate as well, 4th double of the game there for Uzi, 8-0 and 3. The Vayne on duty, and JDG lose yet another fight. It looked good with the double pick off there from Zoom, but it's right back at them. 7k gold lead, and it started with LvMao getting spotted out by
That was just pleasing to watch. LvMao, it really took so much for him to actually walk back into that corridor. He thought he was safe, but he didn't expect Karsa coming in with the perfect timing. Goes down, and nothing can be done right here. That's also a 4-man Terrify going down across the entire team of JD Gaming. They're caught in the corridor in a bad spot, and Karsa tries to finish off the play. Zoom finds him first.
Gets Ming in the end as well. That's a double. All right. I don't care.
They're gonna run this entire thing through.
Yeah, all right, apparently.
I fear that the game might be over after we come back from the replay. It's a long, long time, man.
All right, well, we're just going to watch Zoom. He was trying to clear the wave.
Yeah,
he went too far forward, but Xiaohu did that twice in the span of 1 minute.
And that was such good tanking from Xiaohu as well.
See, now I don't know what happened. Why are they at the top side? You know what's going on? Ming doesn't have flash available for that shielded Duran dive. It's a 3v3 up here. Minion wave crashing in, and RNG dotting the I's, crossing the T's, it seems, as they head back to mid.
Nothing JD Gaming can really do at this point. They need to find good poke into the back line. Zoom can still do so much damage. He's sitting over 300 AD for sure with that build. Also has the armor penetration. So if he can find 2 shock blasts, there's no Ocean Drakes on RNG. Maybe they can beat back the advances. But I still don't see how they survive an 8-0-3 Uzi in the back line. You can take away Ming, you can take down Zatai. Uzi's still going to clean you up.
Really is bot versus top again, isn't it?
Yep.
This time, though, RNG's top is back in again. The fact that Zatai is relevant in this game is incredible. Spirit Visage now in hand, or sorry, Spectre's Cowl now in hand. We'll see if that becomes a Spirit Visage, because there is the damage of Yagao to consider with the 2 items, but a lot of AD damage coming through as well. He's already opted for the Iceborne Gauntlet as his first item, so he's fine, he's set. So Zoom is the one you're looking at here on the Jayce, but his window is closing, and so is JDG's with it here in this game 3.
The most important thing that happened in the early game is Karsa got 2 successful counter ganks onto the top side. Zatai got a kill, he got an assist, and he actually wasn't that far behind like we imagined. Now, RNG, with making through the early game, are setting up for those teleport plays, and you can see a ward smack in the middle of this mid tower ruin here, and JD Gaming, they're forced to back off.
I mean, Xiaohu's just pushing up the wave. The next one's going to come through shortly, and JDG positioning around Baron, just trying to clear vision. Big surprise that they're able to get out this far, but means that Flawless is out in the river. LvMao's there as well. Good timings here because Mount's going to be up in 5. Baron up 10 seconds later. This is going to be RNG's, no question.
I don't even think JD Gaming has the will to contest at this point. They're just looking for a mess-up on RNG's side. Maybe they can pick off key members like Karsa, who hasn't had his GA completed yet. He's been going on multiple engages, beautiful engages, but he should be able to pull it off this time.
4 items on Uzi. Let's go. You've got a CS lead that looks monstrous. That's similar to the top lane of that node. RNG, they've cleared out the vision, they've done their due diligence, and they've almost got a 10k gold lead. Karsa's just waiting for that pick. Remember that Karsa and Flawless, there was a level difference there before. Still 2 levels there for Karsa as they just head on Baron. Are they scared? Well, Flawless, he needs a steal.
First shock blast already used on the brush just to make sure if anyone was there.
Sonic Wave Resonate Strike, let's go. We love Lee Syndrome here on Karsa. The tie ramps up the charge, but Baron's going to be stopped for another step.
Yep, and I do not favor RNG's chances walking up that ramp and hard going into that corridor with LvMao leading the front. So I do like the idea of backing off just a little. They always have another go at it, and the minion waves are all pushing in their favor.
See if Flawless can get in, because Baron just being hit here by Uzi and Karsa.
Yeah.
The Vayne treading through, but they just turn. The flash with the Ring of Frost as the tie sets up for the charge. The tie really re-engages Galio. Does land. LvMao pops the ulti, but
Uzi's
into
dead.
the choke. It's happened, and it launches into the fray. Xiaohu finds another Ring of Frost. He might be able to bring this fight back as the tie looks for Yagao. Goes golden. The Syndra lives, and Ming can't find him either. Zoom gets the pick off. The other bit of front line dies. And RNG, it's 4 for 1.
And Uzi steps too far forward. He walks into the corridor and instantly gets popped. Yagao throws everything down at him. Flawless does find the flash straight onto his face, and they kill Uzi. This is the thing that we were talking about this split. Uzi in teamfights has been looking very inconsistent at times. That was a scenario where Imp was already out of the fight. There wasn't a lot of reason to do the full chase down, but he walks forward anyway, and the Dumpling brothers come up big.
And the game goes on. Flawless will wait for Imp 1 second. Baron buff goes down. All 5 members pick it up.
It was a good start here to force out everything from Imp. They didn't find the knockup to finish him off, but I don't think they actually needed to continue with this fight. So Uzi takes a lot of damage to the face, walks in, and that's a double knockup coming in from LvMao and Flawless to instantly snipe him out. And LvMao is just doing so much work in this corridor. You don't want to be in an Alistar in a confined space like that. Zatai can't find the finishing touches on Yagao, and JD Gaming clean house.
Baron buff keeps this game going on. Zatai tries to clean up Yagao on the back end, gets something. But RNG absolutely slaughtered in that fight. And Uzi has a 4K gold lead, but if that happens again, JDG have the death timers on their side, have the Baron buff to complete.
Yeah, that was a very questionable point from RNG to all funnel into that space. You don't want to be in close quarter combats with an Alistar. You've already expended. How many ultimates did they use? They used 3 ultimates just to get onto the Imp. He was able to stay alive, still come back and even do more damage. And suddenly the tables have flipped once more. I still give RNG the better composition and the better late game, but mistakes like that, it only takes one for the team fight to be won and the game to go over to JD.
From a 9K gold lead to a 3K lead here for RNG. This Baron has helped out, but although you might not be able to break the game wide open in your favor, JDG at least can quell RNG's chances. Sitting in the mid lane, trying to open up the map. You can see pings going down to defend the mid lane inhibitor turret. Flawless will have a quick back to get there, but Yagao's in a side lane, and he's going to get spotted out.
Yep, and RNG are going to take this chance to move up to the mid. They do have a bit of a catch potential themselves, so if JD Gaming walk too far forward, they will find themselves in the graves. Doesn't happen though.
Just clearing out the wave, going to return back. Zatai trying to do what he can to pick up some much needed CS. Towards the 4th item now for the Hecarim. Picked up, decided to pick up the, what are we looking at? Why am I
the GA?
No, for a Hecarim, Clement. What are we talking about there?
Yeah, it looks like a GA to me.
What is this not a GA? What are you talking about?
The Hecarim, right?
The Hecarim!
What are you talking about?
Why?
He has a BF sword.
Adaptive helm. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
How is that
I thought you were talking about what he was going for next. I was like, yeah, there's a GA.
Oh, I'm sure there's a GA coming. I'm sorry we had to withstand that, folks. That was absolutely my fault. I cannot believe adaptive helm. It shows you how much I play tanks at the top lane.
I'm going to put my play-by-play in his place.
Yeah. I mean, we both play like Kled top, so that item does not exist.
Yeah, that's true. Like, managing MR resistance is so hard. I just want to go, like, straight HP for my Titanic Hydra most of the time.
You build Bloodthirster or Kled. I know that's you, Clement. Cloud Drake, I'm sorry, that's his fault, actually. Cloud Drake's going to be picked up here by JDG. That's a denying a triple Cloud on Mr. Hecarim, and it was the GA he picks up as his 4th item. Another GA on the side of Karsa, so a lot of revivability here on the RNG roster. But you're waiting for that Baron, you're waiting for that Elder here once again to see if JDG can clinch it out again.
This is a team fight that's going to last over 30 seconds. Multiple GAs being completed that were not existent in the previous fight. So JD Gaming, if I think they have a lot more leeway in this time around because the initial burst from RNG cannot just kill members on their team. It used to be, oh, Zoom's already going in. Whoa.
Yeah, he's been caught out. That is not what we saw out of early game Zoom. Jayce is left for the win. RNG pick him up. There's no Baron, but there is a mid lane to charge up.
That was peculiar. RNG actually got a double flank onto Zoom as he uses his only escape tool.
Okay. RNG pushing up the mid lane. The wave continues to crash in. It's not a while till RNG pick up their own one, but Karsa trying to spot out flaws just for the flank. 5 versus 4 for the next 35 seconds. It's top lane next.
At the very least, they should get a tower off of this. 32 seconds, so JD Gaming should be able to defend their Baron in time. It's only about holding this inhibitor wave.
Ty coming in for the flank as well. He's been spotted out, starts up the charge, trying to look to take it into the turret, and does. Cleans that one out. Yagao finds the scout of the week onto Xiaohu, but there's no securability with the kill. Yagao unleashes power. Ooh. Xiaohu didn't have ulti, just willing to take it.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by that. Able to hold on to that ability. He also had the Zhonya's unused as well. He knew he wasn't going to die there, so
I mean,
well done.
By about 150 health, apparently. So, yes, very well done there from Xiaohu. Unleash Power has a slow cooldown, so meaning that, it's going to be coming up very soon, rather. 3 items there on the Syndra, getting towards the 4. It's going to be a very different scenario if he finds him again. But getting the open inhibitor for RNG sets up for this Baron play. Oh no.
Well, he's already going in.
He's in the middle of the fight. Look at that damage! The burn down! Ming comes through! The shield of Duran! The tie launches into the enemy team! And Xiaohu does it again! Suddenly, from 0 to hero at 12:30, the tie, the devastating charge on the Yagao, launches him back, Uzi comes into the team, and just like that, everything's back on track for RNG. Karsa, kick, splash, kick into the chest, and boy oh boy, my stomach hurts. It's cramping from RNG's massive punishing fight.
Oh my god, as Xiaohu just comes up with the hero play. You always expect him to have one of these moments come playoffs, and that was it right there. A 3-man Ring of Frost followed into another 3-man Ring of Frost. He absolutely cleans house on the JD Gaming roster.
And for RNG, we put ourselves back on track. Messy game 2, messy game 3, but RNG's fighting is abrupt, it's powerful, and now facing match point, JDG have to pull something out of the hat.
RNG have finally steadied the ship. They come out with a better draft this game. I think it was very tempo focused for JD Gaming. They had to win big on the early game. They had their moments in the top side. They had their moments in the sieges, but it only takes that one mistake for a Jayce composition to be derailed, and Karsa has to be my hero of this game. He kept the gold lead close in the top side, finding those 2 kills onto the Jayce and onto the Xin Zhao, and later in the game, he was the one that got the miracle kicks 2 times in a row to force the entire composition back underneath the tower of RNG themselves, and they clean house.
Mostly about Zatai in that game. The Hecarim was so darn relevant despite 11k damage. Again, throw that in the bin, that doesn't matter. Oppressed by Zoom in the early game, Zatai had more of an impact than you would ever expect.
Yeah, and I do question this a little bit from JD Gaming. I felt like they could have gone a very similar effect even if they went for a not as lane dominant pick in the top side. I think Gnar was actually a better option right there, because Gnar is a very hard counter to the Hecarim. You do build Frozen Mallet. He doesn't have the move speed to transfer to his extra damage, and then you open up potential win conditions with having a tank and with also having a side lane split pusher. So JD Gaming, they went with a very risky draft. They nearly made it work, but it was not flawless, unfortunately. What they really needed to do in that game was they needed to control the entire blue side from RNG, and honestly, Yagao and Flawless did not bring their pressure there. It was very well defended by Karsa, and with those 2 kills equalizing the lead, RNG were allowed to scale into the middle game and scale into the late game, only being just a little bit behind, and turned the tables once they got that one engage.
It's quite simple, really. You nail this series down to Who is the individual member who is performing better? And although, yes, it was about composition mainly and scaling for that game, Zoom was playing out Zatai in that lane. But Uzi is still winning over Imp here in this series. And despite game number 1 for JDG, they're in a dire position because RNG, it's about those tempo team fights, as you mentioned there before. And the tempo is definitely on their side.
Yeah, you know, Papa Kesman doing the ban picks himself this time, just telling Green Team to, you know, step aside. I got this one in control. I'll deal with this one. And coming out with a very good blue-sided draft this time. I really like the compositions that they got. I feel like this is one of RNG's best compositions.
Okay.
They have really a lot of engage, and the solo laners provide enough utility in just the frontline capability. This is where they want to be as RNG. You don't want to play risky mid laners, risky top laners, and allow the snowball to go the other way. They also held on to scaling components as well. So very well done on RNG and by Coach Kesman.
2-1. The tempo continues here in this series at the very least. And I have to say, I went for the 3-2 for RNG. If this is going the distance, it surely will be JDG picking up the tempo in game number 4. We'll find out right after this.
这边要打乌鸦一套，乌鸦血量直接见底，但是2段的链子伤害被规避掉，闪现直接拉走。对，这边是要继续去逼，哎，闪现过来直接就把乌鸦给杀掉了。
那开谁呢？
看一下这波顶起2个，杰斯被顶到了，杰斯要闪拉开位置，刀妹这波大招扑到3个，但这波没有选择继续往前切一个刀，这边的话一技能又拉到2个。 又是一波输出，但是后排有点顶不住，而这边3人在后排已经完成了一个收割，这边的刀妹以及9种都倒了，阿卡丽姗姗来迟来到战场的话也完成不了任何的作用。在这波团战接的话，蛇女没闪，冰女也没闪，这波团战怎么打？看长老夫能不能把这大龙抢掉了？抢到了，看这边怎么打了？不先收掉了，这里辅助了布朗天使交出了大招，这边团战阵型被这边 CG 给拉扯开了。 那这边的话应该要被硬先生直接给拔掉了。这边连团战都不打了吗？这波顶到人队里面的这边厂长第一个就倒下来了，而所以在烟雾弹里面的瑞也没有办法再打后续输出，最后拿到了一波双杀的霞，后续艾波也输出不了3杀到手。这也是给看一下这波 W 到直接就飞上来了，这边过来要打保护，这边加里奥也飞了上来，看一下这个伤害够不够，出发了。 这边的被动效果，然后给上了天使的一个大招硬劈，阿拉夫打成了一个硬换野，还有继续往前追，还有一个大招干上来，干在后续推了，交出了一个精神，后续伤害不够打不过，而这波醒过来推了，这边长虹姗姗来迟，但是这波来的恰到好处。